We're going to talk Durant, who got traded. So on the one hand, I feel like the league should pass a rule. There should be no trades within 24 hours of NBA Finals Game 7. Seems like a decent rule. On the other hand, I don't know how you would enforce it. And I thought it was a pretty fun trade. I thought it was an awesome trade for Houston. I just loved it for them. We could talk about the Phoenix part after.
Just go. Why don't you just take? Don't even ask me a question.
Houston. Well, we talked about this last week. I had so many more assets in the trade. They didn't give up Jabari Smith in the trade. That's a fucking miracle. Like for Phoenix to trade Durant, it just speaks to what I mentioned. I can't remember the last pod I did, but it was Wednesday or Thursday. But like, I just think the offers were so terrible. Everyone lowballed them because everybody knew they had to trade them before the draft, and everybody knew they wanted a pick. And it ends up being Jalen Green, who I don't know if there's 4 teams that they could spin him to for $33 million a year. And then Dylan Brooks, who at 21, 22 million a year, I think is a solid asset if you're trying to win games. And then the 10th pick. And that's basically the trade. So I think for Houston, no brainer. 10th pick wouldn't have played for them. Plus you get rid of Brooks. Now you get to play Tari Easton and Whitmore, basically give them those minutes plus Amen Thompson. Like I thought the trade was a home run for them.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, Stone is on an absolute heater. He's been incredible at draft picks. They've been incredible in how they've worked a lot of this stuff. And yeah, we knew that they were limited offensively. Like the Durant market, right? The Durant market, if we go through it, you knew it was getting bad when you were just at least hearing the rumors of like Miami won't include who. At first it started with like Hillel Ware. You're like, okay, I could see why you just wouldn't want to be in a hurry, or you would say no until you think like if you wanted Durant that bad, you're saying no about Ware for days until maybe then you finally give in. But then you're like, Jaquez wasn't, come on. Like
Right.
there's no way, because the salary piece that you're moving out in Wiggins, I think is less attractive than Brooks, because Wiggins is probably going to get you some numbers, but I don't know that he impacts the game the same way Brooks does. And by the way, shout out to Brooks for all the jokes when the Lakers eliminated. And granted, he brought a lot of it on himself, and then he wouldn't do anything with the media after they would lose. So it's not like I was feeling bad for him, but like dudes didn't think he was going to be in this league. And I still think he's somebody who impacts games. And when that contract came out and Houston gave all that money to Brooks and gave the massive deal to Fred VanVleet, a lot of us are going like, man, that is so much money for that level of dude. But it's like, well, we got to spend it on somebody. We probably have to overspend this way now for Houston. And they flipped Brooks into Durant. So like, there's just all these things you can look at with Stone being like, oh, he did that right. That worked out well. So credit to him, credit to the Rockets front office.
2 guys who he knew could play in playoff series, and they did.
Right. So like the Jakob Poeltl part of it, like, was he really not available? Well, maybe not. I'd probably like him a little bit more than Zach does. And considering how expensive Toronto is, like they're going to have to get one of the expensive guys, get like rid of one of those dudes. When you heard the Knicks rumors, like now we've come full circle. It's like, well, first of all, apparently they didn't want him, but the early stuff on that was Mitchell Robinson and OG. And now when I look at that, I'm like, Phoenix would have been pumped. I love Mitchell Robinson now.
Remember, I was thinking Towns for Durant straight up. That's like 3 times what Houston paid.
Yeah, so that's not happening. And then when it comes back to Minnesota, I can understand like with Randall, the player option, which he probably opts into at like $30 million, because I don't think he wants to opt out and go to this free agent market. But then it's like, if you're Phoenix, do you want to get in the Randall business for 30 plus another 60 plus million over 2 years? I don't know. I don't know that there's a ton of teams that want to do that kind of stuff. And then even San Antonio, and I'm finishing here quickly, but like San Antonio, if they had done it, and whatever their case was, I would have been like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And if they don't do it, which obviously they didn't, then I could also understand their position on that one, being like, yeah, maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense to add Durant here, because you're not just adding a 37-year-old player who's a terrific scorer. You're adding somebody who doesn't have the greatest history with how happy he stays with franchises, and the fact that he's going to cost you like another $120 million, which this probably was worked out ahead of time for him to be like signing off on this, even though we had heard last summer, right around this time, almost exactly to the day a year ago, that he wanted Houston, but Phoenix didn't want to move him out. All right. So you put all that together, and I think it kind of makes sense that this is what the price ended up being, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, for Houston, you're getting somebody who can shoot the ball in the last 4 minutes of a game and maybe appear on a panel about the future of the intersection between athletes and business.
There we go.
Get those two verticals covered now.
Are you mad that Ruben didn't invite you again this year?
I got invited. I just it's in New York.
Oh, you didn't go. White party? You going to that?
I don't go back east during the summer. I try not to. How about you?
I usually
You'll
go
go
to
back
Vermont.
once.
I go back to Vermont usually. I'll go
Um,
back to the vineyard.
No, it's a no-brainer for Houston. I think it's great for Durant. I was really excited because I want him to have one last act. I wanted him to go to the right team. I think Miami's a disaster, and I really am dubious how much Miami even wanted him or what Miami wants to do in general.
Well, if they didn't want to add Jaquez, legitimately didn't want to put him in a deal after all the other guys they want to put in a deal, then they clearly didn't want him that bad.
No. Like if
Highsmith?
if I had a buddy who was selling like I don't know, a Ford Bronco, and I knew you love Ford Broncos, I'm like, it's like a 1973 Ford Bronco. He's like giving it away. And you're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, but you told me last week you really wanted a Ford Bronco. This guy, it's right here. So I just don't think I don't think that Miami knows what they want to do. We talked about this last week. I think they're a mess. I don't think they have any idea whether they should be trying to pursue and try to be good in the playoffs or go the other way. So Durant and having to give him an extension just didn't seem like they want to do it. You're paying $100 million a year to him and Tyler Hero. Where are you going? Right? A year from now? Is that a recipe for anything?
In the East?
Durant? Yeah, well, I guess in the East, but this episode is presented by State Farm. It's no secret that great teams need great teammates. I've been saying this for years. And when it comes to insurance, State Farm is there to help you find the right coverage for your home, car, and more. Whether you need an in-person or a digital assist, they're ready when life hits you with a full court press. Get a game plan that helps fit your life. Talk to State Farm today. State Farm with the assist. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability and eligibility vary by state. So anyway, with Houston, the fact that what's really interesting to me about this is they kept their flexibility for one more trade if they want to do it. And I don't know whether that trade happens in the summer or whether it happens in the December, January, February range. But like, for instance, as we covered many times, Giannis is not getting traded this summer. But if it's January and they're 15, the Bucks are 15-25, and he's like, you know what? This sucks. It's time.
Poor Bucks fans. Have to hear
They
it
still
again.
have their chance. If the Celtics change their mind and they're like, God damn, we didn't realize we'd be this bad and we're going to pay how much money in luxury tax? Like, yeah, maybe we will trade Jaylen Brown. They have the flexibility still in some of the assets to make a second move, which I thought this was going to be their move, and this might be move number one. So I thought from that standpoint, great. And then from a Durant standpoint, I'm excited to see him in playoff games again because I thought it sucked. Those teams that he was on basically since that Brooklyn Bucks game were not fun teams to watch, and teams that had no real upside. From a Phoenix standpoint, I have no idea what they're doing. You have to really like that 10th pick. You have to feel like you're getting somebody who is going to be potentially like an all-NBA guy. If that's the centerpiece, because we know it's not Jalen Green and Booker together. I can't imagine how those guys are playing together. And then you got Bradley Beal next to them. Like, what is this?
It's a lot of depth.
What is this?
Yeah. No, I know. One position.
I'm worried about your guy. I don't know if you want to talk to somebody about all your Booker stock, but you might want to like get rid of some.
It won't be
Just
his fault, Bill.
Diversify the portfolio.
Yeah, we're probably going to have to make a call tomorrow. But,
yeah,
there's a lot of other factors. Let's have a Jalen Green conversation. Like right now, what do you think? Like, what do you think about this?
I want him to go to a bad team and have the ball a lot for like a year. That's what I think. I'd love to see him, and maybe Phoenix will be the bad team. I do feel like there's something there, and I think he's young, and I think he's had stretches that made both of us go, wow. I thought he got worse last year as the season went along, and I thought in the playoffs, they were scared to even have him out there in some of the fourth quarters. But he's still young enough that there might be something there. Can you run an offense with him as like the creator / looking out for everybody else? We haven't seen it yet.
Well, you could argue,
which is why I'd want to see him on a bad team.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, his second year, he had almost a 30% usage rate on a team that won 20 games. So I don't know that Houston's ever shied away from exactly what you're talking
True.
about. Like,
Right.
but I think
but an older version of him.
to be fair to you, exactly. I know what you're saying. You're saying, okay, 50-year version of him. I don't know if that's the recipe, because clearly he's going to get his buckets if you give him the shots. And when you get drafted as high as he gets drafted, it's a bit like a top draft pick in baseball, where they almost always will call him up, even if they don't know that he deserves a roster spot. Or
like Volpe. How that Volpe's just in the Yankees, even though he's Volpe.
Big bonuses, signing bonus stuff would happen in baseball all the time, where you'd be like, why does this guy get called up? There's like 5 other guys in AA that are better than him. It's like, well, we didn't spend the resources on them, so we have to make sure we know whether we're right or wrong on this guy. So I think it's not apples to apples, but there's a close parallel there between Jalen Green being picked this high and going, all right, go to work. And I know I've already referenced it before too many times on the pod because we just did it, but that stretch when Şengün was out at the end of the regular season last year was when I thought this light went off for him.
2 seasons ago. Yeah.
But then you go to where he was in the playoffs, and you're like, hey, your counters don't work and you can't shoot. And we desperately need, like, the possessions are there for you. We don't really love any of our options here. It's not like there's 2 awesome Hall of Fame scorers and you're getting shut out because you're the third option. Like, we're allowing you to be a one option here offensively, probably a lot longer than anybody else would want to. And again, credit to Stone.
Yeah, we're in the playoffs and we need you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't. So, hey, he didn't close out a bunch of playoff games his 4th year in. That's probably being a little harsh, but I think he needs to figure out how to play with somebody else. And maybe that's good for him and Booker. I don't know. Or maybe they want nothing to do with it and they're happy to get the pick. They're happy to have Brooks to add some kind of toughness. Because whatever it is Phoenix is doing is it feels like they're still trying to fix this thing on the fly around Booker, which is usually just going to make it worse.
This episode is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. One of the best things about summer, all the different sports going on. You might be playing volleyball, golf, tennis, baseball. Who knows? There's so much to do. If you really want to have some fun, spice things up with Michelob Ultra as the prize, because winning always tastes better with Ultra on the line. I'm a big tennis guy, especially during the summer. Nothing better than a couple sets, sweat it all out. The Ultra's waiting for you. Don't do this with pickleball, because you shouldn't play pickleball. Play tennis. That's what the real people play. Play tennis, have an Ultra. Superior is worth playing for. You can fill your fridge with Michelob Ultra this summer at Doordash.com. Super easy. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.